Thank you very much, Matthew, and thank you, Sebastian. That's a bit of a hard act to follow. You get the lawyer next, and I have to point out, obviously, I'm the lawyer, and that's why I'm here, because of my years of experience of working in the IP field, and I feel a little bit unglamorous next to all of these wonderful designers and inventors and the room full of you. But I must point out that there's a dual role that I have here. Yes, I am an IP lawyer, and I've worked in the media and technology field for over 10 years. But I think I have a unique approach to this subject because I've worked on the other side of the field. So both working in production and television, to really being on the ground and seeing what it's like to have an idea and the struggle that you go through to protect it, to see it through, to stop someone else from copying, to stop yourself from copying someone else's idea and getting into trouble there. And then equally with my law firm I run with a business partner, Halebury was set up, and we've had to be a start-up business, which many lawyers haven't had to do. And that, again, has given us an insight into what many of you will be going through as you go through this journey to try and protect your idea, build a business, and with any business, obviously, make some money down the line as well as enjoying what you're doing. So from that perspective, that's what I'm here to do. I haven't brought lots of slides. That's just to remind you who we are. The workshops I run here, I think the first thing to talk about when you're dealing with intellectual property is the idea of the name. Intellectual property just sounds difficult. If most people are put off by the words themselves, like, what is that? I don't understand what it means. At its basics, at its heart, what it is a mechanism. It's the law's way of trying to find a way to take your wonderful ideas and your wisps of genius and to bolt them down, make them tangible. Because until they are, you can't protect them. And that's pretty much the basics of it all. I meet many people in this business who come along and say, I had a great idea and, somebody stole it. Well, what was your idea? What did you do? Well, I came up with this business name and I was sitting in the pub and I told my friend, and next thing I know, he's trademarked it and off they go. Well, until you do something with it, that's the risk you run. So really, it's important that you understand the mechanisms that are there in the law to help you try to find a way of making your ideas something tangible. The British Library is a great place to start. We've already heard from Matthew, what an amazing resource this is. And the fact that you're here means great. Some of you may have already used it. Maybe this is your first time here. But I can't express enough how important it is for you to come in here and spend some time and learn some more, because in 10 minutes, I'll only be able to scratch the surface of some of these areas. Intellectual property as a whole, I think you can often think of it as just relating to the creative industries. Music, it's to do with that, isn't it? Or you're a writer or you're a designer. But actually, we're all creative and we're all creating things all the time. And every single business will be making some elements of intellectual property. So what am I talking about? Well, we already talked about trademarks and brand. And that's one of the core things that runs across any business. It's your name. And I can tell you, we spent probably 6 months, Janvi and I, and Janvi's my business partner, trying to think of another name other than Halebury, because everyone always says, why are you called Halebury? What's that got to do with law? Well, it was the name we had as a company name that was available. And when we did our research, there were no other lawyers called Halebury. There was an available domain name, and it wasn't trademarked. Whereas all of the snazzy legal names, even our own names combined, were gone. So there was just nothing there. And we thought it was important that we were creating a business that we wanted to have quality and a brand and goodwill would grow with it, and we thought it'd be important to protect that. So we stuck with Halebury and we got a trademark for it. The reason I tell you that story is because I think it's one of the things that you'll do every day in your business and you may not think about. And one of the things that often happens is either it's a great name and you haven't thought about it and you haven't checked and someone else already has it. And I have many clients who come through the door going, I've just got this letter in from, it could be B-Sky B, my old employer, saying, they own this mark, what can I do? I've been using it. Well, if they got there first, you're infringing their copyright. So it's worth doing that sort of research and worth paying attention to that sort of detail. And that's something that runs across for everyone. And it's a registrable mark, a registrable right, which does mean that once you've got that mark registered, it's yours. And the idea with IP is to get some exclusivity around the right, to stop other people from using it and to give you some protection, which is what you're trying to do. Copyright, on the other hand, is a different kind of animal. And the most common mistake with copyright is people saying, well, I've copyrighted it. It's registered. In the UK, you don't register copyright. It exists because you were creative. It exists because you put some original thought into what you're doing and created something new in various genres. Now, it relates to literary works, graphic works, musical works, and once you've created something, provided it's new and original and substantial, there is copyright in it. So it makes it quite difficult because everyone thinks there's a big register somewhere with every copyright material listed down. In the UK, there isn't. What that does mean for you as a business is to think about it when you're creating your presentations or literature that relates to your business, or most commonly these days, your websites. Most often, you'll either be creating some intellectual property there, or you'll be getting someone else to provide it for you, and you'll have gone off to a designer or asked someone else to even create your logo. So your issue there is making sure that all of those rights come across to your business and you're creating your portfolio of IP.